What is going on, everybody? I am just getting the live stream going. What are you guys up to right now? Oh, let's see here. It looks like it's just spooling up. Here we go. Live on Facebook. What's going on, Morgan? How's it going? I don't know if Instagram is working or not. Let's take a look here. I don't know. Half the time this works, half the time it doesn't. Oh, it looks got a little live icon going there. All right, looks like we're good. All right, you looking for some deals, Morgan? Where are you looking? I've got some deals that I've been working on. I got one in Everett that has been pretty popular, trying to get somebody through there, or a number of buyers through there rather, but the tenants, coordinating with the tenants to get the keys has not been an easy task for that deal. So we have not been able to get the buyers through there. So this is like one thing that has been just driving me crazy. And I say I'm going to do this every time, and I get burned again by another buyer. And I just want to, stick to my plan. But the thing is, I also want to just take the easy way out and not put in, more effort than I have to on these deals. And so the story on this one is, and this is a similar story on a lot of deals, right? And anybody that's been wholesaling for any amount of time, you are going to see that buyers are just liars, right? That it's a cliche, but it's totally true. They'll say whatever they need to say, a lot of them, just to buy themselves some extra time and prevent you from selling a deal to somebody else maybe. So it was another experience where it's another example of like why we need to not deviate from our process when we're dispoing the house. So the story on this one is that we had some buyers that initially went up to the property to see it. There's a tenant in there, so we had to coordinate with access for the tenant. So that was a major pain because they work during the day, but they wanted to be there when everybody's going through the house. And this was a big deal. Like we had probably 12 buyers that wanted to see this property. So we schedule time, send everybody up there, and then lo and behold, the tenant doesn't show up to let anybody in. Nobody's home. Nobody can get in. So I got 12 buyers that are pretty upset that they went all the way up to Everett and weren't able to get in the property, right? Tenant shows up maybe 45 minutes late. There were a couple of people that actually stuck around, so they actually got to go through the property. But all the other buyers were gone. So all those buyers wanted to go back through there, right? So we're trying to figure out how to get them through. But we had somebody else that drove by and said, you know what, I got a client and they're willing to take this just based off of a drive-by, sight unseen. They don't need to get inside it. The price is good enough. that, there's enough margin there that should cover him. It was a 297 purchase price with the 550 ARV. So they're like, my client's good with it. Just send us the assignment, and we'll get it done. So I'm like, great. Like, let's not go through all the time and the hassle of trying to get all these other buyers through there again, because it was just a major pain in the ass working with these tenants, trying to get them through there. I mean, and then another thing, the tenant said, oh, I'll be home like later on that evening. So we had a buyer that said, oh, I can go back up there this evening. So the buyer drove up from Bellevue to Everett during rush hour, and the tenant wasn't home again, right? So another example of like, okay, this tenant is just not going to be very reliable. And so that buyer was obviously not happy going up there again to Everett and not getting in there. So already we have a difficult situation where the tenant wants to be at the house. They're not comfortable with one of us just going up there and letting people in and go through the house. So I'm like, great, we got this buyer lined up. Don't need to schedule any more showings. Let's just get this guy signed up, or his client. He was an agent that had a client, and call it good. So send him the assignment. Next day isn't signed yet. No earnest money. The buyer hasn't even actually opened the assignment according to DocuSign. And so we ping them and they're like, oh yeah, the buyer just needs to drive by it. We'll get it signed and we'll get it signed tomorrow and signed tonight, earnest money in tomorrow. Great. So this is a Friday, right? So still no assignment signed, no earnest money in. So now at this point, we burned 2 days. Agent swears that this buyer is good for it. Now at this point, we should have just, gone back and try to get a showing for the tenants, right? But we're holding out hope that we don't have to do that again, keeping our fingers crossed that this buyer comes through, right? And so that was on Thursday. This whole thing started on Thursday last week. So now here it is, Wednesday. We've burned almost an entire week waiting for this guy. Yesterday we went back to try to get showings lined up with the tenants at this point. But it just goes to show you, like, now at this point, like, there's no way that this buyer's coming through, right? It's been a week of him saying he's going to sign the assignment, and we still don't have anything, right? So, our plan with this property was to basically get, put it out there, start making phone calls, get buyers lined up to go see it, get them in the property, get offers, and then, get an assignment and earnest money in. And then just do that, and not, be waiting and waiting and waiting for somebody to sign the assignment, hoping we don't have to do another showing, right? So, the thing is, like, until you have earnest money in escrow, the deal is still available. And I think I have made that mistake a number of times now, where I'm just like, okay, great, somebody says they want to take it, and I tend to take people at their word, and they're going to do what they say they're going to do. And and then things like this happen where they're basically, I don't know, trying to get an extended inspection period or talk their buyer into buying it, and then it doesn't pan out. So yeah, I'm moving forward. Like, it's okay if somebody wants to buy it sight unseen, but we're still gonna try to get buyers through there until we got earnest money in. So anyway, if this helps anybody else out with avoiding that mistake, follow your process until you got earnest money in escrow. Like, there's just no way around. Don't do any shortcuts, because you're going to end up, potentially burning a bunch of time, especially if you got a tight timeline. You can't afford to burn a bunch of time if a buyer doesn't follow through with what they say they're going to do, right? So, and this is another example of, like, I'm not going to kick this person off the buyer's list because he he's not following through on what he said he's going to do, but he's definitely not going to be a person I call when I got a deal before I blast it out. If I've got somebody, a group of people that I know I send a deal to and they tell me that they're going to take it, and the price is good, and I know I'm going to get earnest money in from that day, those are going to be the people that I call and sell the deals to. So maybe this person picks up a deal off of our blast again, and is interested in one of our deals. I'm not gonna say no to them. I'm not gonna kick them off the list, but at the same time, I'm gonna be much more clear. As like, if I send you the assignment, and it's not signed by the end of the day, and we don't have earnest money in by the end of the day, then it's going to go on to the next buyer. No more locking this up for days, saying it's on its way. So hopefully that will help some people out who are facing some issues with buyers, because buyers will just say anything sometimes, and it's hard to tell when buyers are being legit and when they're bullshitting you. So anyway, now I have to take everything with a grain of salt from that a lot of these buyers say. So anyway, that's been some drama. That's been some drama that we've been dealing with. So Jalissa, am I saying your name right? Martinez. So she's asking, would I schedule a walkthrough with all interested buyers at once? Yeah, so I would prefer to do that. So there's a couple of different scenarios, right? If the property is occupied versus if the property is not occupied, and like in this situation where it's tenant occupied, it makes it even more difficult because it's not the owner that can just let you in, and sometimes the tenants aren't as cooperative as they are in this case. So in this case, I would definitely try to organize a single walkthrough if possible and get everybody through there. I mean, the other benefit of that too is it creates a bit of sense of competition, right? So if the buyers see that there's other buyers there, there's a bit more urgency for them to figure out where they need to be on numbers and do it quickly if there's a sense that the property could get assigned shortly. If the property is vacant and on lockbox, then things are quite a bit easier, right? Because then you could send people there as they inquire about it. So on this deal in Everett, though, we had so many people inquire about it. I think we set a record for most inquiries that we received in a day on a single property. We got 140 inquiries on this property and 12 people that wanted to see it the first day that we blasted it out. So in that sort of situation, even if it was vacant, I'd probably still organize the walkthrough to create a sense of competition there at the property as people were going through it. So if there are people that aren't necessarily able to make that walkthrough time, though, I would still try to accommodate them and get them through when they are able to. So yeah. Usually now, the other complaint I've had with these walkthroughs that has driven me crazy, especially the last 6 months, is that the buyers have been the ones that have been super flaky. And I don't get this. Like, so we'll have, a buyer will reach out, say, hey, can we go see this property? Tell them, yeah, we'll send somebody out to meet you there if it's not on a lockbox, for example, or the owner will go out and meet him, or the tenant or whatever. Somebody will be there to meet the person at the property so they can walk through. And then the buyer just doesn't show up. And no, there's been no phone call or text message saying, hey, like, we're not going to be able to make it. And this is like, I feel so bizarre, because if you make an appointment with somebody, to go meet them somewhere and walk a property, why would you just not show up? And then, when we reach back out after the fact saying, hey, where are you at? And say, oh, I had some other stuff come up. I mean, it's been crazy how frequently this has happened over the last 6 months, where we send people out there and then the buyer doesn't actually show up to the property. And I'm trying to figure out, like, how do you get around that? I was debating, like, do we charge, for somebody that wants to see a property, charge them $100 deposit, and if they show up, they get it back? Because we were just spending so much time with people not showing up. And the other thing I don't get too, it's like, you wouldn't make a doctor's appointment and then just not show up and not tell them beforehand that you're not going to be there. So why is it okay in this scenario to do that with somebody? So that's another thing too. It's like this, as far as the buyers list goes, it all starts with doing what you say you're going to do. And if you don't even show up when you say you are, that's just a huge red flag right there. So even on, maybe if they've decided for whatever reason they're not interested in that deal, right? Like maybe one time, I think I remember the buyer said, "Oh, I drove by the house and didn't like the neighborhood, so I just didn't go to the showing," and which is fine, but just communicating that, is huge. So this is a relationship based business, and so it's been a bit challenging, for sure, working with these buyers over the last 6 months. And I'll say some buyers, I guess not all buyers are like this. There are buyers that, when they tell you that they're going to do something, they actually do, follow through with it. And so that's the way to get the personal phone calls on deals before we blast them out, is just be chill, easy to work with, and do what you say that you're going to do. And we'll get along great. So, but yeah, so we're kind of picking up the mess on that drama now, trying to get those buyers through there that weren't able to get through last week. So, but we've got some other cool stuff in the pipeline. I've been in the process of migrating to, well, maybe not migrating, but utilizing a new CRM. It's a flavor of Go High Level, and it's been working out very well for contacting and doing outreach, for sure. The thing that I find lacking on it is that the tracking of deals has been a bit difficult. So I'm trying to figure out right now how to integrate this with Podio, because Podio has been pretty good for us for tracking our deals, where it is kind of in the process of acquisitions and then data gathering and due diligence, and then in our dispo process. But Go High Level, it seems more tailored towards doing communication and outreach, and seems awesome as far as tracking that goes. Like, I've been super happy with what we've been able to do with it so far, but it seems like stuff then is getting lost between that and getting it over to Podio. So I might have to look at doing some integration between the two to see. And then the other thing that just came up today that I am figuring out is, like, some of our numbers are getting flagged as spam, even though we're not doing text message blasting. We're doing some outreach via text, but we're not, blasting out messages. Because basically, I want to talk to agents and to wholesalers and investors, and so I sent them an intro text first, and just see if they're open to having a conversation. And initially, we're getting a really good response rate on it. So get those people on the phone as soon as they respond to the text. And what we've been seeing the last couple of days is that response rate has dropped significantly. And so one of the agents I had talked to this morning said, "Hey, like, your texts are getting flagged as spam, and the numbers are showing up as scam likely." So, and we're only sending out, between 20 and 40 text messages a day. So it's not like we're doing these huge blasts, because we're trying to keep it somewhat personal, and the idea is we want to get these people on the phone as soon as they respond to us. So I don't want to send out 200 text messages and then not be able to give these people a call back as, when they respond. Because I want to be responsive when they reach out to me, and if I send out 200 text messages and I get 100 people responding, it's going to take me forever to make all those phone calls and get a hold of those people. So I'm just trying to do kind of a light drip campaign. And that's the other thing too, is Go High Level seems really great for doing, follow-up drip campaigns through text messaging or email. And so just staying in contact with these people so they don't forget about us when, they come across a deal that we might be interested in taking a look at, or that we might have a buyer for. Because this is the other thing I've kind of learned too, is, we've got people in our database, and I reached back out to some of them that I hadn't talked to in, maybe 3 months, and we had a good initial phone call with them. And then they didn't remember who I was, after 3 months. So I think it's really important just to, if you're doing outreach and follow up, regardless of who it is, be it direct to seller or wholesalers or agents or investors, that you follow up with them periodically so they don't forget about you. And, when they do come across something, they think of you and, send it over to you, or if it's a seller, when they are ready to sell, that they'll think of you and send you a message, if you've been in their ear periodically. So that's one of the things I've kind of been playing with Go High Level. So I'm liking what I see so far, but there'll be a bit of pain trying to figure out how to kind of organize things with Podio and getting the two systems to talk to each other. Because the other thing I'm afraid of is having to do a bunch of double data entry. Also, having things be as streamlined as possible is pretty important. So we're able to focus just on doing outreach, looking for deals, running numbers, and seeing if we can find stuff that will work for us or our buyers. So anyway, with that being said, if you're working on any deals right now, if you're an agent and you're going on listing appointments and coming across stuff that just doesn't make sense for a listing, like the seller's wanting to be out of the property in 2 weeks because they inherited it, and then their mom was a hoarder. That's like one example where an agent had a deal and we were able to get that off that seller's hands pretty quickly. Price was not as important of a consideration as the time to close was. And so on deals like that, we're able to help out agents and sellers just get out from under this property that's causing them an issue, right? So or if you're a wholesaler and you're looking at a deal, you need help running numbers, trying to figure out where you need to be as far as your offer price, feel free to drop me a DM. Would love to take a look at it. If we could partner up on it and help you sell it, that would be awesome as well. Or if you got a deal in hand and you're not having any luck with it, I'd love to take a look at that as well. See if we're able to help you find a buyer on it. We've got quite a big buyers list here, and got people that will hammer the phones looking for a buyer for the deal. So not only are we, you probably see my posts on Facebook all the time, but that's not really how we sell many of our deals. A lot of our deals, first of all, we got our VIP buyers that will hit up first. Then we got, our social media posts. We've got our email blast, which goes out. And then, we just start dialing like crazy. And the buyers in our buyers list who are, tagged with looking for properties in those particular areas with those particular attributes. And then if we're still not able to find a buyer, assuming that like the price looks reasonable, then we just start cold calling buyers in that area. We'll start doing the text message blasts and cold calling buyers in that area, looking for buyers that, we haven't already established a relationship with that might be interested in taking a look at at that deal. So yeah, please, if you've got anything or need any eyeballs on something, send it on over, and I'd love to take a look at it and see if we can help you out on it. So if nobody else has got any other questions, I am going to drop off here. I was just checking on my Instagram here to see if any questions came in, but it's looking like that will do it for today. So I am going to be traveling next week, so likely no office hours, probably for the next 2 weeks at least. So oh, Jalissa's saying she had buyers, so you had buyers not show up when they said they would twice, the property being an hour or 2 hours away. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, we were working with another wholesaler on a deal in Aberdeen, and he wanted to drive out to do a showing, and I discouraged him from doing that because it's 50-50 whether that buyer is actually going to show up. And the thing that sucks is, like, you could even like text or call that buyer and confirm with them beforehand that they're going to be there. This is another thing that we started doing. Oh my God, like, they say they're going to be there, they'll confirm, and then they still don't show up. It's crazy. So this is why I was like, maybe we charge a deposit, and if they show up, they get it back, So I don't know. It might have been the market too. Like, now that the market's kind of turning, buyers are getting more active. I'm hoping we start seeing that less and less. So we'll see if that theory actually holds up. So anyway, all right, guys, have an awesome Wednesday. Send your deals over. Love to take a look at some. Let's make some money together. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.